It's holiday time, and I hate eating the same thing over and over again, and I'm sure a lot of you do too. So this time, I'm going to make a holiday remix, beef Wellington, Kenya style. Don't miss it.
You gotta be first. You have to be first. Just stop
You said you wanted to be first.
Keep your legs up. Haircut. You need a haircut. You need a haircut. You need one.
Well, I met Master Horn 10 years ago when I visited his dojo because I was intending on shooting a movie. I was going to direct a movie here in New Orleans, and part of the movie was set at a martial arts dojo, very much like his, and I met him, and instantly we really clicked because I feel like we come from the same kind of mindset, and the whole idea to serve our community, and we both grew up having martial arts in our lives early on, and having instructors that we looked up to, and like now we're being looked up to by students in the same way.
Hold your head up while you defeat yourself. Talk to me. Hurry up. You got 5 seconds. I'm gonna walk away. 5, 4, 1, stop. You don't have to be scared. We do this all the time. You come out here to showboat. You don't have to be scared. You come here to make mistakes. Come on, you do your job. You do your job, but you learn from your loss, right? Come back next time, you don't be scared. You go in there and you be first. I gave it to you. Alright? But you're good. Hold your head high. You fought a good fight. You fought for first and second. Walk away. Hold your head high. Right here, sir. Online. Stand right there. We'll follow.
So today we're going to make a beef Wellington, but Kenya style. The only thing that's going to change is the filling. So basically on a beef Wellington, you have a beef tenderloin that's got like this mushroom spread and pate. I don't want pate. Like that's never exciting for me. So we're going to switch that out for some seafood filling. It's going to have crab meat and shrimp, lots of peppers and onions. It's going to be very good. So I'm going to go right into making that, and I'm going to start with chopping up some fresh seasoning. So I have here an orange, red, yellow, and green bell pepper. And because when you slice the beef Wellington open, you're going to be able to see it. It's all about presentation for me. So I'm cutting up orange, red, yellow, and green bell peppers because I want a different color. I want the color to show through when I cut it open. Because the fillet is going to be wrapped in the puff pastry. This is going to be the layer in between the steak and the pastry. So when I cut it open, I want to be able to see the different peppers and onions. It won't be as vibrant as this is because we do have to cook it, but you'll still be able to see it, and it'll make a pretty presentation on the plate. Basically, you want to give it a pretty small dice, not too small, so you can still be able to see it, but you don't want it to be too big because you have to spread it. I chose to do beef Wellington because it's a fancy dish. Most people usually only get it at like a dinner party or a really fancy, I call them white linen restaurant, where you have to make reservations and you get all dressed up. I guess people still do that, right? But so really it's not something you eat every day, and for the holidays we typically make stuff we don't eat every day. So I felt like beef Wellington was still a way to pay homage to a special holiday, but doing it a different way. I told y'all I don't like people telling me what to do, and ain't nobody gonna make me cook and eat a turkey if that ain't what I want, even Thanksgiving. So I'm just gonna run my knife through all of these vegetables, get them all prepped up for the dressing. I'm sure you guys don't want to watch me do all of this. I mean, you could. I am cute. So now that we have the steak seared, we're going to make the seafood filling that's going to go in between the puff pastry and the steak to hold it all together. First, we're going to saute the vegetables. Celery, green bell pepper, orange, yellow bell pepper, red, it's not absolutely necessary to have all three colors or 4 colors, but I like it because when I cut it open, you'll get to see the different colors in the filling and it'll give it a better look. I like pretty food, so it's important. So once that cooks down, we're gonna add the garlic. Now we're gonna add in our shrimp. So once the shrimp are cooked through, we're going to add in Creole seasoning, a little salt, to bring all the flavors together, a little bit of seafood stock. That come up to a boil, simmer. Once it starts to bubble, we're going to add in crab meat. As much as you like. I didn't choose to use lumped crab meat for this because I have to spread it out, and we don't want big chunks. The biggest pieces in here are the shrimp, and so I wanted it to get something that's not really clumpy. And there's the one that I bought is called special crab meat. It's like the one that's not in a perfect lump. So this is not something you would use for, say, like a crab cake, but it'd be good in dressings and preparations like this. Because it's gonna break up anyway. So save a couple dollars, still fresh Louisiana crab meat, just not the expensive one. Alright, put in a pinch of parsley, fresh parsley, a little bit more seafood stock, breadcrumbs, cornbread. It looks like breadcrumbs, but this is actually cornbread that I blitzed in a food processor to make it really crummy. So when you mix it in, you don't have like lumps of cornbread. You you'll only taste the seafood. So that's really what I'm going for. I don't want to like slide into a big chunk of cornbread. So we're gonna incorporate that in, and the goal is to get the filling to be really stiff because we have to spread it. It has to be full of flavor and spreadable, but dry, because if it's wet, the puff pastry is not gonna brown or rise up, and then it's gonna fall off. So make sure whatever you put in your filling, you cook all the liquid out. And I say whatever you put in your filling because this is just my idea of what can go in here, because typically beef Wellington is mushrooms and some form of pate. I like seafood in just about everything, so I decided to put seafood in this. Now if you want to make this filling without the seafood, you can do an Italian sausage, you can do ground meat, whatever you like, as long as you cook it out and it's really, really fine and it's dry. So it's really dry, but we need it now to stick together. So I'm going to add in heavy cream, and the cornbread is going to absorb the cream. It's going to expand a little, but it'll make it a very good spreadable texture. Add in a little bit more breadcrumbs. I keep saying breadcrumbs because I've ground it up so much it's confusing even me. But it's really cornbread. We're going to add in some more heavy cream. If you've ever made a meatball and you use breadcrumbs and milk to help it bind together, this is the same premise. We're not making a ball, but we want it to be like patty form when we spread it out. So that's why we add the cream and the bread. It's like a binding agent. But because it's ground up so fine, you won't be able to taste it. It won't taste like you're eating cornbread. You only will taste the seafood. Okay, we have everything fully incorporated. Now we're going to take it off the heat and let it cool.
The New Orleans Media Arts Institute is located on the campus of Southern University at New Orleans in partnership with the College of Business and Public Administration. As a small business incubator, our mission is to provide entertainment industry small businesses a platform for exploitation of their creative content while providing expert business support and technical guidance. The vision is to enhance the entertainment business infrastructure by developing a hub for small businesses, building relationships with industry professionals, and facilitating an organic expansion of the creative arts community. Aside from hosting networking events, mentor programs, and professional workshops, we also have state-of-the-art recording studios, film editing and production capabilities, a photography studio, internet radio, and office space. Membership at the Institute helps artists harness their talent in the most effective ways. We are here to nurture relationships, develop artists, and strengthen the infrastructure that encompasses several forms of entertainment. At the Institute, we focus on creative expression, technical proficiency, and business development. New Orleans Media Arts Institute. Explore the possibilities.
Now that the seafood filling is done and it's in the refrigerator to cool, we're going to get started on the beef tenderloin for the beef Wellington. So normally it's made with a full beef tenderloin, right? And you can either slice it as it's cooked whole or you can slice small pieces and wrap them individually. Well, I'm going to use the end piece of the beef tenderloin. And as you can see, it looks like two pieces, but it's still connected. But because I wanted to cook tight into one uniform spot, you guessed it, we're gonna truss it, just like the chicken. It's gonna look a little different because the shape is different. There are no legs for one, no thighs to tuck it under, but it's gonna pretty much be the same process. So we're gonna start up here at the top, go underneath, and tie a little knot. This is gonna be the anchor. Tie that. Then you go down about an inch, around, tuck it under, pull it tight. Do it again. Go down, around, come back through here, pull it tight. And as we do this, you can see it's making it all one size as we go down. So you'll have one uniform piece of meat. And we're going to wrap it whole, so that'll also help it hold together as well. So when you slice it, it'll still slice and be held together by the phyllo dough. So now we're at the end. We're going to go up the back and tie it under here. Make a little knot. I cut it a little too short so I couldn't go back to the front, but it's still going to do exactly what I wanted to do. And there you have it. Okay, so now that it's all tied up, wipe my hands off. We're going to season this very, very liberally, meaning a lot. So get a lot of salt because the salt has to go through the outside into the middle. Because nothing is worse than having food seasoned on the outside and dry and bland on the inside. So you're going to do that. And what's actually easier to do is if you just sprinkle it on your board and roll it in there. So that way you know it's coated everywhere. Okay? Now we're ready for the cast iron skillet. We're going to sear the steaks on all sides so that way it'll seal in all the moisture on the inside of the steak. So once you put it inside the phyllo dough, it won't make the dough all wet and it'll still crisp up and be nice and golden brown. So here we have the puff pastry. We took it out of the freezer for a little bit to let it thaw out. So it's still really cold, but we can move it around without it breaking. So we're going to put some flour on the board so it won't stick and it'll be easy for us to move it around and pick it up. Okay, take the rolling pin and we just want to stretch it out to kind of, one, loosen it up to make it easier to roll, and 3, so it can fit completely around the whole tenderloin that we have. If you don't have a rolling pin, like some people don't, because if you don't bake, why would you have one? If you have a bottle of wine, you can use that, preferably a full one. It works just as good. You just want to have something heavy enough to roll it out. I don't think there's anything else in the kitchen that you could have laying around that you use as a rolling pin. But yeah, a bottle of wine or whatever bottle of anything you have. It's a bottle of vinegar, extra virgin olive oil. You just need a bottle if you don't have a rolling pin. So now that we have the filling cooled, I put it on a sheet pan and spread it out so it can cool kind of quickly. Set it in the freezer for a few minutes. And now we're just going to fill the puff pastry. You want to put it where you're going to roll the beef. So the idea is to have it completely around the entire cut of meat. All right. And it's really the perfect dry texture. All right. Try to get it as even as possible. We're going to take the tenderloin and sit it right on top. Because the puff pastry is, the board is floured, it's not going to move, or it's not going to stick to the board, I'm sorry. So before we do that, we have to scramble an egg because that's going to be how we hold it together. So we're going to scramble an egg because this is what we're going to use to hold the puff pastry together. And we're going to brush it with that as well so it can brown. Just put one egg in a bowl. Okay. So take this and lift. Pull it kind of tight. Because this is a bigger piece of meat, I'm just going to add a little bit more filling here to make sure we have it on the back as well. Then hold and roll. So now it's completely wrapped, and you see you have this little seam. So you take your fingers, do a little egg wash. And we can keep rolling. Now that seam becomes the bottom, and now we have to fix the edges. So turn it. Take the fork and cut away the excess dough. Tuck the bottom in. Get back in there. Back in there. And to help it stick, tuck and press. Okay, now we're going to turn it and do the same thing to the other side. Get rid of the excess dough. Tuck, egg wash, tuck and press. So now we have a completely wrapped, very uniform ball. So now we're going to egg wash the entire top. Okay, so now we have it all nice and wrapped. Now we're going to egg wash the top. This is going to help to give it the nice golden brown. Just want to give it a light little brushing. Don't want to make it too wet. And if there's any areas that's not still stuck together, just use the egg and the pastry brush. Kind of just press it with your fingers. All right, we are ready for the oven. So now we put it in the oven, 350 degrees, until it's golden brown.
Master Horn 10 years ago when I visited his dojo, because I was intending on shooting a movie. I was going to direct a movie here in New Orleans, and part of the movie was set at a martial arts dojo, very much like his, and I met him, and instantly we really clicked because I feel like we come from the same kind of mindset, and the whole idea to serve our community, and we both grew up having martial arts in our lives early on, and having instructors that we looked up to. And like now, we're being looked up to by students in the same way.
Hold your head up while you defeat yourself. Talk to me. Hurry up. You got 5 seconds. I'm gonna walk away. 5, 4. Why you stop? You don't have to be scared. We do this all the time. You come out here to showboat. You don't have to be scared. You come here to make mistakes. You come out, you do your job. You do your job, but you learn from your loss, right? Come back next time. Don't be scared. You go in there and you be first. Right? You gave it to him. Right? But you're good. Hold your head high. You fought a good fight. You fought the first and second. Walk away. Hold your head high. Right here, sir. Online. Stand right there. We'll follow.
It's done and out of the oven. Gonna just transfer it to the cutting board so we can slice into it. Here it goes. Look at that. It is a perfect medium. And you can see the filling around it. And then the puff pastry. This is perfect. You can slice it. Yo. It's so cute. Look at that. So this is basically like a surf and turf because you have the shrimp and the crab meats, the surf. The steak is the turf. This is going to be good. And this is a very, very non-traditional, unconventional Thanksgiving dinner. It's gonna be amazing. Everybody's gonna crash your house next year for Thanksgiving. I promise you that. All right, you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to come back next week for the same time. Different show. For show updates, please follow the show on Facebook at Cooking with Kenya. Cooking with a K, WIT Kenya. See you later.